Hi, thanks for watching. My name's Trisha, and behind the camera is David from Living Tech. So tonight, I'm going to be making stuffed bell peppers. Super easy, whole food, vegan, delicious. You won't even miss the meat. I don't think you will. Okay, so there are a few places you could get started. I'm going to get started just by prepping the peppers and getting them into the container so they'll be able to hold all the yummy stuff in it. Instead of going back and forth to the sink all the time, I have my finger cleaning water there, got my towel, and here's the Pyrex I'm going to put all the peppers into. Okay, so just cut them in half. Well, first you want to get the seeds out, so we're going to cut out the stem. It's a circle. Got my little garbage bowl, not too small. You want enough where you don't have to keep emptying it throughout the process. Just pop it at the center of the pepper. Okay, so you've got all the peppers. We'll squish them in, it doesn't matter. When you take them out, you're going to be taking them out one by one. This isn't really that messy when it comes to serving. So the next thing to do is to just oil them up. That way they won't stick to the Pyrex and they'll taste better. Okay, so the way that I do it, you might want to be more neat about it. I find this is it's more fun if you just do it fast. Pour it over. Just rub it on. Probably a high heat oil you want to use if you have one around, so that's grapeseed oil. Other ones would be refined coconut oil, avocado oil, things like that. They hold together better in the heat, which means they hold their nutrition. Olive oil, not great for a recipe where you're going to be getting it really hot. So something to keep in mind also when you're doing stir fries and stuff like that. Okay, I gotta get this oil off my hands. I use the low salt, just like that better, because you can always add salt to your own taste. So you don't want to necessarily be forced into it by your beans, but you can use whatever, black beans, they're easy. Okay, now I'm just going to go over to the sink here and drain them. And if you don't use beans very often, a big thing, even if they're dried, a big thing is getting the gas out of them. Otherwise, that's when people start regretting eating beans. So on the one hand, if you over clean them, you lose some of the nutrition off the outside, but I just think it's nicer to get them nice and clean. So I rinse them until I don't see any bubbles really obvious around the edges of where the beans are inside the colander. Okay, so I'm going over here. Okay, so I'm going to put these beans into the bowl where I'm going to be mixing the filling. I made a bunch of rice. This is multi-grain rice. You can use any kind of rice. Try and go for whole grain because we're trying to cook whole food vegan. It's so good for you and just as filling and actually tastes better. So I used a multi-grain mix of rice that was already mixed at the store. This recipe can also be made with quinoa. It's really good with quinoa. It's obviously a lighter taste, but overall it comes out the same. Okay, so there is a cup. 1 cup. 1 cup of corn. This is just frozen corn that I thawed in the fridge. I took it out this morning and just left it in the fridge and it's fine. You can use fresh corn. That's probably even better, but and you probably don't even need to thaw it because it's going to be in the oven for quite a while. So there's a cup of corn. Half a cup of salsa. Half a cup, any salsa. This is the first time I've tried this with red salsa. I actually really like the tomatillo salsa, I believe it's called, with the green, but it's a little harder to find. So this is regular medium spice salsa, half a cup. The thing about spices most of the time, especially if you've got sort of a heavy dish like this, a really casual dish, is if you can put 1.5 teaspoons of cumin, you can put 2, If you really like cumin, you can put 3. Spices are really good for you. They're basically dried up, plants, and they're gonna have, the more you have, the more antioxidants, all that kind of thing. So spices are great. The recipe that I'm gonna work with has 1.5 teaspoons. I'll throw in 2. This is a 1/2 teaspoon measure, so I'll put in 4 of these. Don't have to be perfect, it's easy. Okay, that's the cumin. Also, next is garlic powder, same amount as the cumin, 1.5 teaspoons. I'm not as much of a fan of garlic powder as I am of cumin, so I'll just put in 1.5. This is what they need to taste, right? So you do it. If you don't like it, you can play around with it later. If you follow exactly what I put in and you don't like it, you might be able to figure out what to add. Sometimes it just needs some salt. A lot of the time it just needs some salt. Okay. Also, you want some chili powder. This calls for 2 teaspoons. I'm going to put 2 generous teaspoons because we really like chili powder around here. So that's a generous teaspoon, heaping teaspoon. Put that in there. And that's the stuffing. That's it. No salt in here because, there's probably enough flavors. If you're a salt fan and you used no salt beans, this is an opportunity. You can taste it. It's not all of this stuff can be eaten raw, so it's not gross to taste it at this point. So you can taste it, see what you think. And now I just stuff the peppers. Move it closer. I mean, if you can get them to line up properly, that's better because they'll cook more evenly, but they're still going to flop when you put them on the plate. Okay. I like doing it multicolored. I also have a person in my family who prefers the lighter peppers, so it's a rainbow effect and it makes more people at the table happy. Doesn't matter what colored pepper you use. You could use green pepper. Nobody around here likes green peppers. So if a recipe ever calls for a green pepper and you don't like green peppers, don't use green. Use a different color. I'm just going to keep, it doesn't matter if it falls in between because that's going to cook. And then when you take a pepper out to serve it to someone, you can just scrape it out of the pan because the pan's getting plenty oiled from the oil that you coated all over the peppers. So this is not really a presentation dish. This is a yummy filling dish that just a casual. These are ready to go in the oven. So I could have turned the oven a little while ago, turned it on, but I'm gonna turn the oven on now and put them in. When they come out, then you want to serve them with, because I'm making them vegan, they don't have any cheese in them, or some of the meat that might add even a little bit more moisture. So there are a few things you can serve it with. You can chop up some cilantro, you can put some more salsa, maybe put different levels of heat of salsa out for people to choose themselves. You can put lime, slices of lime, I'm going to do that. You can put a nice, some kind of creamy dressing like a ranch or a flavored ranch. I'm going to serve this tonight with a ranch that's flavored with chipotle peppers, so it has sort of a Mexican influence. And I'm going to show how to make that ranch dressing with the chipotle peppers in it. Actually, that's just one variation of the same ranch dressing. I'll do that in another video, just so it's easier to track. You can just look up the ranch dressing. If I think of something else that you can serve with it before we close off this video, I will let you know. But for now, I'm going to put this in the oven, 375 for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, I'm going to put this on. After 30 minutes, I'm going to go and take the tin foil off. I will first turn it up to 425. think of it as like now's the chance to sort of dry it out a little bit, maybe even turn it a little bit dark brown or black. So you want to turn up the heat once this is off, and cook it for another 20 to 30 minutes, depending how squishy you like your peppers. We like them to have a little bit of almost crunch to them. I want to cook them for about 50 minutes, but I don't want to overcook them. If you like your peppers softer, just leave them in. Okay, so I'm going to put them in the oven now. Okay, so we have the peppers cooking in the oven, and while I'm waiting, I'm just going to prep the toppings. All optional. You can just set them out on the table for whoever to choose. I'm going to plate them at the end because I like doing that and I know what my family likes. One thing I like on these, because like I said, no cheese because it's vegan, I just put slices of avocado. If you don't know how to do avocado, just cut it. This is a really ripe one. Just cut it around the middle. Woo, it's a little too ripe. I'm going to use it anyway. Anyway, normally the stone will get stuck in there. You whack it with the knife, it picks it right up, and then it's going to be loud. You just whack it off the knife. So that's really easy. Normally they look a lot nicer than this. You scoop it out. Well, you can cut it right in. Actually, I'll show you two ways. So you can scoop it out with the spoon. I waited a bit too long on these avocados. You want them soft, but this one had actually started to turn brown on the outside. You can tell. You don't want them to feel like they might, in some places, actually be liquid. But this should taste fine. I'm just taking off the brown. Doesn't look good. And then making some nice slices so they'll look pretty on the peppers. Okay? So that's one way of doing it. Oops, so soft it's falling apart. And then the other way, again, because it's brown, I'm going to just take that off there. A little brown in the middle. So another way is just to slice it right in. Side the shell, don't go through. And pop the edges off. And pop them right into the bowl. I like the first way better. But if you're good at the second way, then it looks pretty slick if anyone happens to be watching you. Okay. Next thing is I'm going to have also limes. So these I'll just put aside. They won't go too brown before dinner. It'll just be a few minutes. Okay. Yeah, just going to cut the limes. Probably two, probably one per pepper. It depends it depends on what your people like. I cut them down the middle like this so they get started with their squirting limes. You can also put salsa, like I said. If you don't want any more salsa, you can use hot sauce. If you like red onions, those are on the sweeter side of onions, so you can chop up some red onions. We don't like them around here, so I won't be doing that. You can chop up cilantro, like I said. And then I'm also going to you can probably use any ranch dressing that you like, or any creamy dressing that sort of goes with a Mexican feel. But I'm going to make some ranch dressing that's chipotle flavored. And I'm going to make a recipe of ranch dressing that you can make chipotle, but you can also make several different types of herbs. And so I'm going to do that separately. I've got myself started here. I'm going to show you separately so that you can reference that video if you want to separately and see each of the variations that I'm going to show at that time. Okay, so that's it for prep. The next thing that's going to happen is I'm going to take the peppers out of the oven, get them ready for dinner, and enjoy them with my husband. Okay, they're out of the oven. I'm going to make one attempt and hope that works. You might notice that they look a little dry on top. That's because in the vegan version, this is why we have creamy toppings to put on it. But it's actually kind of nice. They get a little bit dry and there's a little bit of crunch mixed with the quite moist pepper outside and a nice sort of roasted feel to the how the crust gets dark. So I will try and get one of these out. There. Anyway, if it spills, just make it look artistic instead. Just splatter it on and you'll look artistic. Okay, and then I'm going to use my chipotle flavored ranch dressing. You can use, like I said, any kind of creamy, I think ranch dressing. Just put it on so it looks pretty. Probably more than that. I mean, we really like sauces around here. So that. Avocado. You can decide yourself if I'm an artist or just making a mess of it, but it'll taste good. And lime. And you know what? I know that it's going to taste good with lime, so I'm going to start it off, and then I'm going to leave the rest for whoever the lucky person is that gets to eat this, their lime. So like I said, if you want to, you can have cilantro, salsa, red onions, hot sauce, you name it that you think kind of goes with Mexican. This is what I like, is the more creamy taste, and there's some spice in the chili powder and in the salsa that I included inside of this stuff. So there you go, roasted bell peppers with a slightly Mexican spin on them. Thank you.